Test.
3 questions.
What even is this test? Just solving the trick?
That's all I need for you for that, because that's really important on the AICE exam. It's definitely on the AICE exam, 100%. So I want to make sure that you have the ability to have confidence in it. Because I don't know whether in the past they did. So I think this will be good. Okay, so the test. Do I hide it from Nick? I know Nick, he's cheating already.
He got Identities.
Well, I'm just videoing you because I want to hear you go over it. I'm not videoing the actual thing.
I think it should be a group test too.
I think it should be a group test. You won't be here.
No,
I
it's
can't
3
get
questions.
help.
When is the
I'll
test?
just be sad.
Sunday. I mean,
It's a long process.
Sunday. We're all going to come in on Sunday.
Friday. I'm Friday.
You won't be here Friday?
I will not.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I'll be
group
wrestling.
test, group test.
I'm wrestling Friday, yes.
Group test.
We're going to be wrestling some questions.
That's 3 out of
Let's take a
3
vote.
people so far.
No votes. I'm in charge.
This is a democracy.
Please.
Okay, so I only put 3 test questions on it for the pure fact that it would give you plenty of time to get through it. They're all 2 parts only, and the first part would be prove this identity, make one side look like the other. Okay, so we did that last semester, and so we're going to review it again today to make sure we're comfortable with those. And then the second part of the question for every single one of them is solve for x, whether it's between 0 and 180, or whether it's between 0 and 360. Okay. Normally, when it's in terms of the word tangent, it's going to be between 0 and 180. Okay. And when it's between, when it has to do with sines and cosines, it's going to be 0 to 360. Okay.
Okay.
So both of those would be on there. My phone has been ringing crazy. It's time for people to apply to the Cambridge program, so it's exciting times for everyone. All these little 8th graders coming in. So are we good so far? EJ tried to call. Text and see what's up. Okay. So are we good so far? 3 questions.
They're all
would
like
be
that?
prove, yep, and then I would be solved. I would be prove, I would be solved. Okay?
It's just like the ones in my packet.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the packet right now. I don't have a packet. Hello? What's up, baby?
I'm really upset this isn't a group test. We haven't had one of those in a long time.
Since the last
Tracy, the one that had the accident.
How am I videoing this?
Thank you, I appreciate that. Give me a few seconds to come up with
Oh,
Welcome back, Maddie. I want to do October, November 2010/11.
October, November 2010/11, number 4.
Yeah, you already done it.
Yes, but I just want to see if I.
It was amazing, you guys.
I think I did all of them
You did
last
either.
week.
Okay, so it's October, November 2010/11. And the reason why I'm choosing this particular problem is multiple reasons. And let me write it down first, and then I'll talk to you about it. Is really equal to 1 plus 1 over cosine. Okay? And then hence solve, I'm going to give it right back to you, but it says hence solve sine x tan x over 1 minus cosine x plus 2 equals 0 from 0 to 360. Okay, so it's twofold. And the reason why I chose this particular problem is because on the test, there are a couple of them that kind of have the fraction look to them, where you have to get one side to look like the other side and try to get where it's no longer in the word tangent, those type of things. So I want to review that. Okay, yes.
So those are like where it says part I, show that this equals this, and then they'll say I. They want you to solve this. Do you want to use the other one? Right?
Absolutely.
Because that one's easier to work with.
100%. That's why you do it. Okay? So if I'm looking at this particular problem, I have sine tan over 1 minus cosine is really equal to 1 over 1 plus cosine, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take one side, make it look like the other. It wants me to use, it says, hence take this and solve. So I know I'm not going to use this, just as Nick said. I'm not going to use this piece. I'm going to use what we made it look like, okay?
Uh-huh.
So we're going to take this side and make it look like that side.
Right.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why I chose this one is because it's kind of similar to ones that you might see on the test that have an involvement of the word sine and cosine with a tangent in there somehow. So how do I get rid of the word tangent? Sine over cosine. And the reason why I think it's important to know that we want to get rid of the word tangent is because over here I don't see a tangent. Okay?
Right.
Everybody cool with that so far?
Uh-huh.
Okay. On top, I got a little cleaning to do. So what do I see on top? I see sine times sine over the word cosine. What can that become?
Sine squared x.
Sine squared x over cosine. I'm going to go slow. So this is sine squared x over cosine.
Sine squared is
Over
equal
one.
to 1 minus cosine.
Okay, beautiful. You recognize a squared with the word sine, or in future reference, a squared with the word cosine. I know Pythagorean identity. I know 1 minus whatever the other one is. So I know sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. Why would I go about doing that? Well, because the original problem that we're trying to make it look like doesn't have the word sine in it.
Just cosine.
Just cosines. Okay? Now, do you guys agree I have fraction over potential fraction?
1.
Over 1, right?
But that's not really going to
It could, because what do you know about a fraction divided by a fraction?
ignore denominator.
Take the denominator, you flip it, do the reciprocal, right?
Okay.
So it does kind of help, because we have 1 minus cosine squared over cosine times 1 over 1 minus cosine.
So 1 minus cosine squared over 1 minus.
Now, here's what I look at. Okay? I go back to reference what my original looks like, right? I want to say, I want it to look like that somehow. So I need to figure out, how do I get rid of the cosine squareds? How do I start getting rid of, because I don't see a squared up there. So what do I do?
Can you divide by cosine?
If you divided by cosine, you would have 1 over cosine minus cosine. You still have fractions going on. So I'm a little scared to make it bigger like that.
Wait, what's the operation between those two?
Times.
Multiplication? Okay.
Can't you cross multiply? Or without subtraction?
You could cross multiply, but before you do that, what if side note, what if I gave you this? What do you naturally feel like you should do to it? And make it what?
X plus 2x minus 2.
Because it's called the difference of two squares, right?
Right.
What if I gave you this? What do you naturally feel like you could do with it? What would it be?
X.
It would be 1 plus x, 1 minus x.
Mhm.
So what if I give you this?
1 plus cosine, 1 minus cosine.
1 plus cosine, 1 minus cosine.
Oh.
So if I see a difference of two squares, I should go, ooh, can I factor that? Because why would I factor it? Well, let's see what it brings us. So we have 1 plus cosine, 1 minus cosine, over cosine,
Times 1 minus.
times 1 over 1 minus cosine.
Now if you.
And then you can cancel out one of them.
You can cancel out the 1 minus cosine.
Yeah.
Then you have.
Then you have 1 plus cosine over cosine. 1 plus cosine. I'm getting so close to what I need. It's not quite what I wanted, but where do I do? Yeah?
Cancel out. No, you can't cancel out the cosines, can you? Because 1 plus cosine is like 1 unit.
Right, let's go to a side for a minute. I have x plus 3 over 4. Do you agree that's x over 4 plus 3 over 4?
So it'd be 1 over
So it'd be 1 over cosine
Plus
plus
cosine over.
cosine over cosine,
Yeah.
which is 1.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if I was taking notes today, what would I start thinking about? I would say, okay, I need to get rid of my word tangent. Somehow I know it's sine and cosine. That's where I began. Then I need to recognize squares. How do I take care of the squares? Disaggregate and identity is where I start to work that process. Then once I do that, I need to be clever and figure out, do we have a difference of 2 squares in there? Okay, so I'm giving you tomorrow, Friday, ones that you might have to work that does that. Yes?
I don't understand what you did after you cancel out the 1 minus squares.
Okay, so what I do you see how I got those?
Yeah.
Okay, so once I cancel them out, they're gone. So basically it's this times 1 over this times 1. So what I'm left with is just this. So I have 2 things added, divided by something. I can write it as 2 different fractions. I can do 1 over this plus this over this. As long as both of them go over that denominator. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
On the test, will there be any cosecant, secant, and cotangent?
Cosecant, secant, and cotangent, no.
Just sine, cosine, tangent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so literally what you see,
We're not gonna do derivatives or anything?
no, I didn't put derivatives. Remember, I introduced derivatives solely because I want you to have that for future reference. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this now. So this was part I. Now, the ones that I gave you are low in points for the first part because it was later on in years. Okay, how much would this one would have been? 2. See, 2 points is low to me. Now they're about 1
No, this
point.
would have been 3.
Okay, so now they're like 1 or 2, and they're a little less in points. Now, the second portion of it are higher in points.
How much?
You know, well, the total of the whole test is 18, and each of those first ones are max 2. So the rest is the solving, which I think y'all have a great grasp on. Yes.
What's this?
Friday.
Okay.
Yes.
I was saying, like on the actual AICE exam, like how many of these questions are
1.
there? Just 1 question for the whole test?
How many?
And how many
You
parts?
get like 8 points.
How many points do you get back?
41-ish, 42-ish.
That's not just on 1 test.
Out of 1.
That's on 2 tests. That's stats and this.
Wait, out of how many points?
125 points.
And you only need how many to pass?
42.
Out of 125.
Oh,
Marvelous.
It's so doable. That's why what I need you guys to figure out as you're doing this is you need to figure out at least 10 items that you feel really, really, really comfortable with. Because if you can kind of, don't just do 1 item, you know, because that's not going to help us. But find one.
You only have 1 question.
You may not have a question on it this year. Who knows? You know, so you need to kind of feel confidence with those and just kind of start to bring those in. Hopefully, you can pull those points. Yes.
So is the problem just that people don't remember how to do the problem?
It's overwhelming, and to me, some of you might have 11, 12, 14, 18 tests in that time frame. And so do you study for math, or do you study for history, or do you study for English, or do you study for, you know?
I feel like a lot of people think that they're not going to pass it.
I think so, and then they kind of walk away and say, but it's so doable. It is so doable. I really feel like if we just kind of, and remember, I'm kind of vacant. I'm like an absentee mom for the last couple of weeks because I'm also doing Cambridge. So that's why I need you to have all your tests with you. I need you to have every tool that I've given you, hopefully to kind of use it, and then come to me with questions on the days that we are together. You know?
When is the take-home test due? Or when are we starting?
I put March
3rd,
3rd, but I'm going to probably give you extra time. Yeah. As long as I get it back, I'd like to have it. Okay, so here's my thought process. Before spring break, because
Spring break's in April.
I know.
Yeah.
Should I give you maybe an extra month?
Yes.
I don't want to
That's
do it
so-
during spring break because I don't want you to go and say, I waited till spring break to do it. You know, I don't want anybody to have to do that. All right, so let's finish this problem. Now we've gotten to this point. Now, give me a thought process for a minute. It's 1 point, right?
Right.
I have no clue how to get there. Can I just go to the next part? Yes. So don't give up. Use what you have. It's given, you know, to get to that next spot. Yes.
And since you know that it's supposed to look like that, can't you just use that instead? Like, because it gives you...
Absolutely. So they give it to you. They want you to prove it for 1 point or 2, and then they want you to utilize
And
it.
you should know that you're supposed to switch them anyway.
Correct.
So you can...
And when it says hence or otherwise, it means use what we just did to get there.
And they pretty much gave you the answer.
And they give you the
just have
answer.
to prove it.
Who sits in a room and comes up with this stupid
I love it.
conversion?
No, I do. I love them. I don't know. That's stupid. That makes me want to cry.
Anyway.
They're like
It's
intelligent
Just like
people.
I think about crying all the time in math. That's okay.
Oh, that's funny. There were some maths I had that same feeling. Okay, so sine, tan, 1 minus cosine plus 2. So where I see what happened originally, I'm going to replace it with 1 over cosine plus 1, right?
Yes.
So 1 over cosine plus 1 plus 2 is 0. Would you agree? So far, okay? I need to start working my math magic. I have 1 over cosine. And would you agree that's 3?
Yes.
And would you agree if I brought it over there, it's negative 3?
Yes.
And would you also agree that cosine is equal to negative 1/3?
Yeah.
Cosine. Yes.
Wait.
So you.
Old lady trick.
How did you do that?
Old lady trick from last week. I said, when you have a fraction equal to a fraction, really that's a fraction, right?
Uh-huh.
I can, and I don't want cosine on the bottom, I can flip-flop it, and it's still the same thing.
Why isn't it negative 1/3? Or is it?
It is. I have a negative here.
Square.
Yes.
What I did was I just multiplied both sides by cosine x to get rid of the fraction.
Divide by negative.
And then divide by negative.
So what if you forget?
Okay, then you do cosine to both sides, right? And you get these cancel, and you have 1 equals negative 3 cosine.
Mm-hmm.
Divide by negative 3, and you get the same thing. You just did a few extra steps, which is really not a big deal. Now, so how do I go about solving from 0 to 360?
Cosine equals.
Well, you have to look at your.
Yeah,
Inverse
so
cosine.
you do cosine to the negative 1 of negative 1/3, and tell me what you get. Yeah.
109.5
Was that your first answer?
109 degrees, and then they gave 250.5, and I don't know where they
I'll
got
show you
that.
how. So you guys are getting x equals 109.5.
Yeah.
Okay? Is that what you get when you stick it in your little calculator in degrees?
No. Oh,
No.
wait, you said negative.
Negative 1/3, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk out loud. Okay? Cosine. Where is cosine negative? Why do I say negative? Because cosine is a negative 1/3. So tell me on the unit circle, where would cosine be negative? It's true where and where?
In the fourth
The
quadrant.
fourth is
It's where x's are what?
Negative.
Negative, right? So left, right? So negative here and negative here. Agreed?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer was cosine equals 1/3, my answers would be located where?
Right side.
Here and here. Would you agree? Right? So my first answer is 109.5. Okay? I have to get my bearings about me and figure out where 109.5 would be located. 109.5 would be located between 90 and 120. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So how far away from my reference would that be from here?
Somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah, so
109.5 minus 90
is how far?
is 19.5.
Okay, so 19.5-ish from here. You agree? Okay, so my finger's about there. You guys agree? I'm guesstimating right now.
Yep.
Where would my next answer have to be located? It has to be located down here.
Uh-huh.
Okay? Has to be located down there. Why is it not over there? Because cosine would have been positive. Not here because cosine would have been positive. So starting at 0, positive cosine. Here's my answer. There's my next answer is going to be in here. My next answer is here, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we have to figure out what would my next answer be. Yes?
So you can flip it over the axis and you know that it's in the corresponding part there. So if you just subtract the difference between that number and the 90, which was the 19.5, if you subtract that from 270, you're going back that way, that same number,
What do you get?
250.5.
And you said the answer was?
250.5.
Okay, yes.
But so what exactly are you adding to get there?
Okay, so let's start from the top. From, you guys agree 109.5. Everybody cool with that answer?
Uh-huh.
It's here.
Right.
We decided from my reference line,
90.
90. It's 19.5 away.
Right.
So my next answer, number 1, has to be in this quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because cosine has to be negative still.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2, it has to be 19.5 away from my reference line.
Oh.
So my reference line is 270. Okay, it's basically a mirror image, if that makes sense, from here to here. So what would that be? Well, it would be 270 minus 19.5, which hopefully gives me the 250.5 that you were looking for.
Yes.
And
Okay.
It's only 2 because you can't use the other because it's only 0 to 3.
Correct, because where would the next answer be?
When it's past the 450.
Up here, right?
Yeah.
So past 450 by
Past
19.5, right? And then the next answer would be
All of it.
short of whatever that is.
Yeah.
I can't even add that up. 720's here, so it's a little less than, yes.
So like, let's say if it said cosine of x equals -1/2, then in that case you wouldn't need to take the inverse cosine because you know you can just look at the ordered pairs. They
So
are
talk
one.
to me again. Oh, yes, right. He's saying if it says cosine of x equals -1/2, those are ones we should recognize that are on the unit circle.
Uh-huh.
So where is cosine negative? Here and here. Where is cosine -1/2? That happens
120.
120 and
240.
240.
Uh-huh.
So we should just know that.
You should know that. The ones that we should be comfortable with are 1/2 square root of 3/2 square root of 2/2, 0, 1. If we don't know that, use your calculator. It gets you the same spots. Yes.
Okay, should we bring our unit circles? in?
Okay, so on your test on Friday, you'll be using unit circles. You're allowed to use them. Do a fresh, clean one for me, please. And then, pass it in with your test, I guess is the best way to do it. Just staple it to your test and turn it in. The second thing is on the AICE exam at the end of the year, you're not allowed to use your unit circle unless you create it when you get there.
Okay.
So like when you sit down, how long does it take? 2-3 minutes? If you remember how it works, it's a quick draw, get it in, you have your unit circle ready to go. Yes.
Oh, so then for the unit circle, then do we do that beforehand and bring it in, or?
For me, on Friday, yes.
So, okay.
But not for the AICE exam. It's going to be one that you're going to have to. I'll keep it up here. Yeah.
Can we
And-
use our old
yeah.
test that we made, like when we had a test and just circle, can we just turn that into you?
Sure, it's fine. As long as it's not written all over.
For now.
Yes.
What paper is it, do we use the unit circle on? Is it both of them, or?
You won't use it for stats.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't use it for stats. Just paper one. Okay, question, Jake? You were just raising the roof? Okay, got it.
Well, and then I had made another unit circle, but I put extra stuff like reciprocal identities.
I'm cool with that.
I can, okay.
Fine with me. Yes.
So you said you need how many points for the case?
Okay, so about 42. It
For
varies
both?
from year to year. Yeah.
It all depends on how the people does.
It depends on how the world does. Everybody in the world does.
Also, if everybody
It
sucks at
fluctuates. So if everybody sucks at it, right?
Everyone
No,
better suck
perfect.
this year.
Everyone suddenly does amazingly now. Watch out.
So, but you have to realize this course is considered a 2-year course, right? I mean, it's a lot of material in 1 year. This is the harder of the 2 courses, if
Why
you
do we
ask
get
me.
2 credits for the
If
math?
it's a 2-year.
Yeah. Like, why isn't it an A level?
Because together they give you 1 full credit. Now, the A level has 2 more papers. So most of your A levels are 4 papers long. Like thinking skills was 4 papers.
Yeah.
Marine science was 4 papers. And this was 2. Next one would be 2. There was no way to teach A level in 1 year. I think this is the harder of the 2 courses because
That's what
material
Everyone
is
says
fast.
Out of
AICE
what,
math
two?
is so much
Yeah.
Out of AICE math 1 and
Out of,
2.
yeah, I think
So
it's
class is just AS and A level, right?
because AS you have so much to learn. I mean, y'all learn a lot from me, or at least get introduced to a lot. You have questions? Okay, so are we cool? Let's do another one. Did that answer your question? Because I didn't know how to respond to it on text last night. The fact is, it's not always add 180. It's not always add whatever. You have to recognize, is it negative, is it positive, where is it located, that kind of, you have to be,
The quadrants.
the tangent is 180 that works out really well. Because tangent is positive, or negative, negative. That sort of, I'm backwards, but you know what I'm saying? So you actually are 180 on either or. So, yes.
So then what does the SATC mean that you put on there?
So A is all or positive,
Mhm.
sine is positive, tangent is positive, and cosine is positive.
Okay.
Make
So
sense?
then if that's where cosine is positive, then cosine is negative in the opposite, the diagonally across. Yeah.
Like sine is always positive on the left side. No,
Correct.
Just
Because its
kidding.
y value's up, right?
Just kidding.
Okay,
Sine's
so-
always positive on the top.
Because y values go up on top and down on the bottom. Question to you. Let's say you're solving and you're getting through the process. Let's look at the one that you just gave me as an example. Like, let's say you had Okay, 1/4. All right, so we're down to where we're solving for x. Tell me what you see here. Yes.
It's squared.
Okay, so it's squared, so you get cosine of x equals
1/2.
One.
Positive or negative 1/2.
okay. So if you don't give me positive and negative, what's the problem? You're going to miss out on 2 full answers, right? Because remember, cosine is positive 1/2 positive 1/2 here and positive 1/2 here, but cosine is negative 1/2 here and here. You'd be missing 2 full answers. And that is truly, I think, where people might lose points. Because they forget, when solving a squared, you should put plus or minus. Yes?
So what should we call it? So take the arctan of positive 1.
You would take the arc cosine.
Sorry.
Yeah, so cosine, it would be cosine of negative 1/2 and cosine of positive 1/2 for your answers. Now, when you plug it in your calculator, you're going to get one answer. You need to find the other one. When you plug in your calculator with negative, you get one answer. You need to find the other. Or recognize your circle.
And you do that by subtracting
The 180, yeah. Same concept as what we just did. All right, cool. Is that a good hint? Good hint, trust me. All right, so let's see if I can
So
find
what are the final answers for this?
So what
for this.
30,
so
150,
yeah,
210
x.
would be 30.
It would be
Yeah,
so your x would have to be 1/2 and negative 1/2. So 60, 120,
210.
240,
Oh, 240, I'm sorry.
and 300. We're talking about our x values, yeah. So far, okay?
You said 330? Or no, 300.
Correct, yeah. Are we feeling good about Friday's test? Are we feeling like you know what's going to be on it?
Most of those.
12. Do we have time to
May,
finish
June
it?
2010
We have like
/12.
6 minutes.
Oh, wow, good.
I think we have 7 minutes.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have time.
It's a good start, anyway.
May, June.
2010/12.
Okay. I think I did that one.
Cool. So show that.
Yeah.
So the first part is worth 2. It's 3 times 2 sine x minus cosine x equals 2 sine x minus 3 cosine x can be written in the form of tan of x equals negative 3/4. Okay, so tan of x equals negative 3/4. Okay, so that's where we'll start. And then it wants me to solve.
So, wait. So
Okay.
what does it mean by 10?
It wants me to transform this whole thing to make it look like that.
They're equivalent.
So how do I get this whole thing to begin to look like the word tangent? Yes.
Oh. Would you first distribute the 3 and the 2?
Sure, let's do that. So we would have 6 sine of x minus 3 cosine of x equals 2 sine of x minus 6 cosine of x. Perfect. Everybody cool?
Couldn't you just divide each side by each
You can
Sine to one side, cosine to the other side, divide.
combine like terms,
Yeah.
sines with sines, cosines with cosines, and then you divide,
Mhm.
Jamie. Then you would want to divide, absolutely. Yes.
What problem is this?
May, June 2010/12. Did I say it right? Yeah. Okay, so if I subtract, I have 4 sine of x equals, I have negative 3 cosine of x. Everybody check my work.
Negative?
Yep.
Well, if I add 3 over here, I get negative 3.
Oh, you do.
Okay,
That's-
so I know ultimately I need the word tangent, so I'm going to divide by cosine. Everybody good?
It has to be sine and cosine.
Has to be sine over
Yep.
cosine. So, divide by cosine, divide by cosine. I got 4 tangent x equals negative 3. Divide by 4. And yay, we've earned our 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Totally cool.
So tangent is always sine over cosine.
Yes.
I didn't hear you. Now, it wants me to solve for x between 0 and 360. Wow, they got kind of excited with tangent. So we want to go from 0 to 360. Are we good? So how do we attack that? The things that I think about in my head is where is tangent negative, okay? So where would tangent be negative? Think about where. Okay, tangent is negative, opposite signs, right?
Where the A is. The
Here.
A quadrant?
Yeah, so here and here,
Oh,
right?
no, they're in there.
Were you close? Tangent is, you went like this and this, so I thought you were just saying hi.
So it's negative in quadrant 2 and 4.
Yeah, so it's positive when they're same signs, so positive, positive, negative, negative, and it's negative when the sine and cosine are opposite signs. Okay, so tan is negative. So my answers that I'm going to find are going to be here and here. Is everybody good? So, tell me what x is here. Solve for that. Tan to the negative 1 of negative 3/4. You guys got to have a calculator for this, so.
Negative 36.9.
Negative 36.9, you said?
That's what I thought.
Is everybody cool? Okay, so dilemma. The dilemma is it's not between 0 and 360, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right?
Mhm.
So we are actually at negative 36.9. I think you would agree this is negative 30, and it's a little more, right? How far away from my reference angle am I? How far away from here? 36.9, right? So 36.9, you guys with me there? So where is the next one going to be? What's my reference angle for this one? We've been using this line as my reference angle, but it's actually the 180, isn't it? Okay, so if, I'm going to put a little dot here. If this is my point here, right? Can't see it, that's okay. So it's 36.9 from there, so therefore it's going to be 36.9 from there. Is that cool?
Why up?
Well, because you have to be mirror image. So if it's here, it's here.
But on the one when we used a 90 degree, weren't they on the same side?
Say it again.
When we did with the one right before this, and it was like a couple degrees from 90.
Because remember, cosine was negative here and here. Now we're talking about tangent. Tangent's negative here and here. Okay? Yeah, Jake?
Can you just add 180 or get a lot easier?
Okay, so good question. We talked about how does it work for tangent. Tangent's really cool because it is add 180, right? So if this is negative 36.9, if I add 180 to it, what do I get? What's that place there? It's between 135 and 150.
144.
Is that what you get? So 144.1 is my point
143.
3.
No, 143.
143.1. So, okay, so here we are at negative 36.9. Add 180 to it. If I add 180 to it, zip, I end up right up here. Are we cool? Is 143.1 located where I need it to be? Yeah. Where's the next one going to be? It's back at that spot, so add 180 to it. And what do we get?
323.1.
323.1. Okay, if I added one more 180,
You get there.
I
You just,
can't because it's between 0 and 360.
no. Yeah.
If there was a 2x in front, then I would divide by 2 and I might have to go one round again. Are we good?
Yeah.
Yes, that makes me feel good. Yes.
So, like, when my question was yesterday, sine and cosine, like, the reference angle is 360, and for tangent, the reference angle is 180.
Use the idea that you know where it's positive and negative and go from point to point to point to point.
So now so let's see, so cosine, so sine is positive in the,
Your
that
y
quadrant,
values, your top two quarters.
and then it's negative, and then cosine is positive,
Positive here,
and cosine is negative,
here.
and tangent is positive,
First and fourth.
and tangent is negative,
Sorry.
there and there.
Right. Jake?
So like, what are